And it's time for that particular time of the week. Here we go.
It's time now for the latest news on what's hot and what's not in the world of technology with Matthew Dickerson on Tech Talk. Here on TCFM 88.9.
Hello, Mr. Lonely.
I'm never lonely because I've always got you to come and talk to, Richard.
I was waiting for that answer. I really was. Now, in saying that, I've completely lost my notes, wearing my glasses, all these sort of things. Oh, mate. Reading this yesterday, when it comes in, I sent it on a Tuesday, who needs a doctor? This is an unbelievable thing. Apple Watch with an ECG.
Yeah, the actual Apple Watch has been capable of having an ECG output from it for a couple of series now, the Series 4, 5 and now the current Series 6. But the TGA, the Therapeutic Goods Administration in Australia, has not approved it. So the software on your Apple Watch in this country has not allowed you to do an ECG. In America, it was approved by the relevant authorities over there, and you could do an ECG in America, but in Australia, no. Finally, the TGA has now said, yes, we think it's of good enough quality that you can do an ECG on your watch. I just find that incredible.
I mean, there must be GPs around the country saying, oh dear, there goes another source of my income.
Well, hopefully not.
For people who don't understand what an ECG is, we better just explain that. What it does basically is look at your heart.
Yeah, so many people have had an ECG. They would have had clips put all over their chest. It basically checks the electrical processes from your heart. And so if people have got some heart issues or they've had some heart issues, then that will give them a readout on that. So basically it's checking the electricity through your heart. Now, again, normally you're hooked up to a machine worth a lot of money, sensors all over your chest, you lay there, you get an ECG done, it gives you the output, and the doctors look at that. Now, the Apple Watch ECG function is not designed to replace that.
No.
It's designed to give you an indication. So hopefully it won't scare doctors, hopefully it will impress doctors, because it might mean some people who would not have gone along and had a checkup may say, oh, I've actually got some irregular heartbeats.
I've got a dicky ticker.
Exactly right. So it's quite interesting. I mean, watches now are quite incredible. I can remember buying watches many years ago that you had to have a chest band for your heart rate. You had to have another device on your arm that would do GPS readings for you. Now in the watch itself, it does your heart rate for you. It does GPS, and now it does ECG. And it's not just the Apple Watch. Samsung have got one as well that does ECGs. So the idea here is just have an initial look at your heart rate, have a initial look at your ECG, just check your initial health, and then from that you might be prompted to go along and see a doctor and get a full test done. And Apple themselves are not saying this is a replacement for a full-blown ECG. It's a good indication.
Yeah, I mean,
quite incredible though.
But it is incredible.
Yeah,
totally incredible. All right, we've got smartphones, we've got folding phones. Now we've got Oppo, and they've got a couple of Oppo stories this morning. But anyway, let's start with the Oppo rollable phone.
Folding phones, I say yesterday, Richard. How old-fashioned.
I haven't got a folding phone. Mine is just a straight Samsung.
Well, Samsung, Huawei and Motorola have all brought out new, wonderful folding phones. Obviously, the idea is to have something that's small enough to put in your pocket and carry around. And then when you use it, it's bigger, a bit like a TARDIS. You know, small on the outside, big on the inside. Folding seems to have been the way most manufacturers have gone up until now. Oppo have just released a prototype. You can't buy it yet. It looks like a large-ish mobile phone when you look at it normally. Press the button on the side, it rolls out to be a small tablet or a really large smartphone. So their solution is rollable. Now, all of this has been brought about by the fact that we've got flexible screens. Obviously, with a glass screen, none of this is possible, but with flexible screens, foldable, rollable phones are an option. Who knows what the format that wins the day will be in, say, 5 years' time.
Yeah.
But at the moment, a lot of competition around folding, rolling, whatever type phones, and whether or not we'll even see this Oppo again, it's a prototype at the moment. I suppose part of the process is to see how it's received by the public. If it's all this excitement, if social media goes off with a rollable phone, then I'm sure Oppo will work out a way to put it in production.
Well, okay, Oppo, again, moving right along, our best-selling smartphone brand in China.
At the moment, yeah, they just beat Huawei in January for the latest figures that came out in January. First time Oppo have topped the charts in China ever. Huawei's obviously received a lot of negative press around the world with sanctions and bans in different countries. So maybe that's finally started to filter through to China. I would have thought that Chinese people would have ignored what bans, for example, US might put on a phone manufacturer, but maybe it has started to have a bit of an impact. And on the positive side for Oppo, they've released their new Reno 5, which is better specs than the old Reno 4 and cheaper than the Reno 4.
I was going to say, now, when I was in China, we were losing contact with each other, having to ring back to Australia to find out where we were. And so I said, one morning, just before breakfast, I went across to the phone store across the road, because there are a dime a dozen in China.
Yeah.
Every second shop's a phone shop. Bought 2 phones, came back, set them up so we could ring each other locally in China, all for about $10,
Yeah.
and they were Oppos.
Yep. And so they are certainly a popular phone, and as you can see, the fact they've topped the charts, will that go on? Is it just a surge from Reno 5? Is it because Huawei's on the nose a little bit? Hard to say. Let's have a look at figures as they come through in February, March, etc. Huawei's still in front for this financial year so far, but again, good to see some competition there. It's actually even surprising, Apple's back in about 3rd place, no, 4th place, Apple with a 16% market share. For a non-Chinese company to be up that high is quite impressive as well.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
All right, you had your email hacked?
Have you?
Yep.
In this latest round or previously?
No, previously.
Yeah, right. So this latest round, the US government has actually said that it's a little bit more widespread than Microsoft said in the first stages. Microsoft have had their Exchange servers software exposed, some vulnerabilities exposed there. So Exchange servers around the world have been hacked. Some people in an organisation may be aware they use an Exchange server. Some people may not know, they're just using cloud services. They have no idea what's behind the scenes. But it didn't try and attack the individual PCs. It tried to attack the servers hosting your mail.
Yeah.
Once it got to there, then it could get into the individual computers on the end of that. So Microsoft said it's mainly affected US sites and people using US Exchange servers. The US government has said that's not quite correct. It's really had an impact across the world. And Australian cybersecurity forces have also said there are examples in Australia where Exchange servers have been hacked. I've noticed a few emails coming out from various companies that do host an Exchange server to say, it's okay, we've checked everything, we're okay. It's probably more the organisations that have got Exchange servers internally, that have got their 10, 20, 50, 100 employees connected to that Exchange server. Their focus on updating and keeping their servers patched probably may not be as vigilant as some of those large cloud servicing companies, so they're probably the ones more likely. So patch your servers, make sure you're on top of those patches, and then check if anything's happened.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, you get used to it. You're just sending emails hither, thither, and yon all the time, and you think, oh yeah, I'm right. Maybe do a malware check every now and again. That's about it. And then all of a sudden, bingo.
Yeah. And this isn't an example. Sometimes with phishing emails, you can make a silly mistake and click on something that looks legitimate, and in fact that infected you. This is one of those examples. Nothing that the end user could have done would have caused or prevented this from happening. It's really at the server end, at the back end, that the incident has occurred.
Yeah, and can cause some business to go broke, as has happened in the past.
Absolutely, yeah. It can have dramatic effects on
just
business.
cleaned out.
Yeah.
Now, this one we've spoken about before. This one I'm really worried about, and I don't know. The all-electric aircraft. I mean, you plug the bloody thing in before you take off, do you? Then rip the plug out at the last minute and off you go.
Or have a really long extension cord.
Good.
So there have been some electric aircraft that have been announced, some prototypes. Apparently, electric aircraft will be fantastic on short routes. So Dubbo to Sydney, for example, would be a perfect example where electric aircraft could be used. Long haul routes, flying Sydney to LA, for example, no, not so good. It's just hard to get the battery density there to the level where it can support a long haul flight. But those short flights, fantastic. A few companies have come out with them. They haven't started being used on any common public routes yet. But NASA has thought, well, if we're going to certify these planes and be involved in making sure they're safe to start in the air, we should build one. So they're building a plane called the X-57. They've actually got it in testing at the moment. And the first testing, I'd be quite comfortable with being a test pilot in this scenario, because what they do is they plug it in on the ground and then run through a whole range of tests, power up, power down, change the power on the engines, change the wing flaps, all those sort of things, but all while it's sitting on the ground. I can live with that one. Right? So that's all okay.
Very happy with that.
That's right. The next stage of testing, after they're satisfied all that testing is okay, is to basically load it up with batteries and then do all the same things while it's up in the air. And again, of course, the biggest concern is we're flying along, oh no, the battery's flat, we're going to go down. Obviously, you've got a pretty good indication, and we've seen some good examples with cars where you get an indication of exactly how far you've got to go. But again, you would have to get to the stage where people feel comfortable walking onto a plane knowing that this is an electric aircraft.
Right.
I can see them being quieter, I can see them being much more efficient. So once people become comfortable with them, I'm sure they'll be a big hit. but it's those early flights that people might be a little bit nervous about.
Indeed. All right, we've got cameras in here, folks, and we keep on forgetting to tell people about that, but we're going to put what we do now onto the DCFM Facebook page.
Yeah.
And for people who've got the camera on, I wasn't hit. I'm just pointing to an elastic, a Band-Aid on my cheek. I had a cancer thing removed the other day, so that's why I'm...
And a good public service announcement, Richard, go along. We live in the most cancerous nation, skin cancer nation in the world, so go along and get those checks. I had one cut out of my face a couple of years ago, which you can't see now. The surgeon was very good when he cut that one out, but yeah, it's a good example. Go and get your face checked.
Yeah, got one there too.
Right.
And no, I got checked all over,
Yep.
literally
That's
all
a scary
over.
thought. I don't want to mental image things.
But only two, which is pretty good. Blonde hair and blue eyes doesn't help.
No.
All right, so you can see us again if you like on our Facebook page, and we'll see you next week, 9:29. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay, Tech Talk. Music continues right now with Diana Ross and the Supremes, and you can't hurry, love. DCFM 88.9.